Sagittarius knows that every ending is really the beginning of a thrilling new chapter. And this new moon is the beginning of a new 20-year era. So we are diving in today, not only looking at the Sagittarius new moon, which is very optimistic. It really gets us to zoom out and focus on the larger picture, as well as the narrative that's been playing for our life. And we're also going to take a look at Pluto moving into Aquarius, since this is a significant shift that affects us personally as well as collectively. So, a warm welcome to everyone here. Say hi below. If you are new to the community, I'd love to welcome you in and get to know you a little bit better. So, definitely say hi. If you've been with me a while, you know I like to hear from you every new and full moon and to just see how you are experiencing these energies in your life. So, if you are new here, my name is Kara. I'm an astrologer and Akashic Records practitioner. I also have a master's in psychology, and I weave knowledge and wisdom from each of these tools into my teachings. And in these new and full moon videos, of course, we go very deep into understanding the astrology. And I also share channel guidance from the Akashic Records on how we can work with this in the highest timeline possible. I had many of you request more around the Akashic Records. You're really fascinated with the records. So at the end of this video, I'm going to recommend some Akashic journeys that you can dive into around jumping timelines. And I think I'll share one as well around relaxing your nervous system, because with a relaxed nervous system, we get out of survival mode and we're actually able to open up to new creative ideas, solutions, possibilities for our life. So I'll recommend that at the end. Otherwise, let us dive right in here. So let's understand this energy of Pluto a little bit more and how it's at play right now in the collective consciousness. And again, I know you're feeling this in your own life. So Pluto is the planet of death, rebirth, and transformation. It is very connected to our subconscious mind. So it likes to dive deep and make us aware of what is going on beyond the surface, what is going on and playing out in our inner world. And it shines a light on that. We don't want to get stuck in the shadow. We want to be aware of it. And day to day, we may not always be aware of what our subconscious programming is. But if we're just going through life on autopilot, your subconscious programs are actually running the show. They determine our responses to situations. It determines the lens in which we see the world through, which is a big theme this Sagittarius new moon as well, the narrative we have playing for our life. And it was Dr. Dyer who was quoted saying this. I know many others have likely said this as well. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. When we put on a new lens, when we try on a new perspective, we see opportunities where previously we may have been stuck in the problem. We see creative solutions where we may have felt lost and overwhelmed. So, perception is so key in how we navigate life and the actions we take and the timeline we are essentially creating from. So, Pluto really helps us go through that journey of releasing the fears, the doubts, the programs that are no longer helpful or useful. So if you want to grab your birth chart, if you have it handy, maybe pause this video, grab your birth chart, or listen all the way through, come back, have a second listen with your birth chart handy, because I'm going to be pointing out some significant placements for you to check out today. So I am going to share my screen in a moment so you have the visual representation, but firstly, we're wrapping up this 16-year cycle where Pluto has moved through Capricorn. So find the Capricorn sign in your chart and then look at what house or houses it rules over. This is the area of your life for the past 16 years where you have been transformed. The ultimate goal being to find your power in that area of your life. So you may have gone through some challenges, obstacles, and then throughout that, you remember your power to always rise up, to alchemize, to transform, to be rebirthed, to invite the new version of you in. So collectively, we've also seen Capricorn where we've seen Pluto move through Capricorn for 16 years. So I know for many of us, this is like our adult life. Maybe this was like your childhood, teenage years into adulthood. Maybe this was simply like a season and chapter of your life. But for all of us, 16 years is a significant chunk of time where for sure we have navigated and moved through a lot. Now, Pluto is currently at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So this is bringing change to the collective. The last time it was here was in the 1700s. And in the period where we saw Pluto move through Aquarius, we had the French Revolution, the American Revolution. Is really this theme of like power to the people and being aware of where we are giving our power away to external sources to influence our worth, our value, how we see ourselves. And it's really about a reclamation of that personal power. Pluto in Aquarius is for sure going to bring about massive social change, more equality when it comes to how abundance is shared on our planet, incredible scientific advancements. It's also the sign of the astrologer. So we may even have astrology become more mainstream. We could have new planets or asteroids be discovered during this period of time and a deeper understanding of how we can work with astrology day to day in our life. So I'm excited for that transformation. And remember, we are all a part of co-creating this as well. Changes in AI are sure to come in, especially 2025, even 2026, when we have Uranus moving through Gemini, working with Pluto in Aquarius. Going to be a whole new world. And remembering it's not just like these planets are influencing what's happening for us, it's a reflection of what we are moving through. As above, so below, we are all interconnected. So let's share my screen here and go a little further with all this energy. So the first thing I want to share with you here is Pluto here, 0 degree mark of Aquarius. So this is what you're looking for in your chart. So for the past 16 years, it's moved through Capricorn. And now it's moved into Aquarius. So you want to see again, what's the house placements for you? What number in the chart does it correspond with? In astrology, we have 1 through 12 are the houses, and they represent different aspects of our life that we move through. Pluto being, again, that rebirth energy. So wherever it's at play, we're going to find our power and we're going to go through a releasing process and then an expanding into something new and opening up to new possibilities. So this could be with our finances and our relationships. This could be with our inner child, our spiritual growth. This could be through travel, right? The 12 different areas of our life. So take a look at what's at play here. And another key thing to remember, Pluto is just at the 0 degree mark. 0 degrees. So when a planet is at the 0 degree mark, you can think of it as like you're walking into a new home and you've opened the door, you've entered the house, but you're still just in the doorway. Like you've just entered. You've just entered. You have yet to explore the different rooms of the house, but you're in this new house. You've calibrated to this new energy, but you're at the very beginning of it. So that's where we are with Pluto and Aquarius. We are at the beginning of a 20 cycle, 20 period cycle, a new era. So we are all still in this phase of calibrating to this frequency, to this energy. But remember, main themes, being in my power. Where do I give my power away to people, to relationships, to events of the past? Sometimes we have things happen in our past and a part of us gets stuck there in this feeling of trauma. And we're unable to move forward until we update that timeline with new information. We take our power back. We no longer allow a single situation in our life to determine how we feel for the remainder of our life. We reclaim that power. That's a big theme here. Okay, so Sagittarius new moon. The new moon is happening at 0 degrees. We've got the sun, the moon, 9 degrees here of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign. Mutable signs, think like mutable fire. It can't be contained. This is a big, bold energy, very, very optimistic. And it really knows and invites us to fall in love with the journey. So where are we stuck in thinking that our joy is found in something outside of us instead of where we are today. Where are we caught in this trap of my joy is found when I arrive and I get the result instead of it's the process? Fall in love with the journey, fall in love with the process. Sagittarius is represented by the centaur. So it has this very magical quality, or the archer, where we're focused on where we want to go and we are off on that next adventure. It is the seeker of truth, the seeker of justice. It is driven to create more harmony in the world, but it's very bold in how it does that. And it's very, again, it zooms out. It's not about getting lost in the details. It's about being able to see the bigger picture of what is unfolding. We also have Mercury close by here. Mercury in Sagittarius is very bold, very direct. Anytime I read someone's chart, I'm like, oh, you've got a Mercury in Sagittarius. And I talk about this aspect of, I'm sure, like you've been told throughout your life, you're very direct or bold in how you communicate stuff. And every time they're like, oh, yeah, I hear that a lot. So it is a bold communicator. So Mercury in Sagittarius right now, we're all feeling this and we're reminded of the power that our words hold. So, especially where it's actually going to be retrograde at the time of this new moon, it's a good time to reflect on the power of our words and the intentionality behind them. Sometimes we say things and it's like people hear what we're saying and they filter it through their own experience, their own lens, and then they come to conclusions that maybe have nothing to do with what we actually meant. Hence, misunderstandings. That's where miscommunication, misunderstandings tend to happen. We're meaning or saying one thing, someone else is receiving something else, and we're suddenly on two different timelines, and we're not even having a conversation anymore, or we feel attacked. So, be aware of any of that maybe coming up at this time. And often those things can be resolved when we just clarify what we actually meant, or we open up our mind to receive a new perspective. The lower octave expression of Sagittarius can be so stuck in their ways, they're not hearing what other people are saying. They've made up their mind, they have their beliefs formed, but we want to stay open, adaptable, curious, keeping an open mind and heart. This also relates to this idea of the stories we tell ourselves about who we are, what is possible for us. So you can't outperform your belief system. If you have a belief that life is really hard for me, people let me down, money is a struggle, these stories we tell ourselves, what do you think you'll create? We'll create more and more evidence that prove that to be true. Doesn't mean it is the ultimate truth. It means we've collected evidence that support that belief. So what evidence are you collecting? Are you looking for evidence day to day that is uplifting, that shows you are capable, you are powerful, you are so resourceful, you always win, things actually work out for you? We can all cultivate this. And if you don't yet believe that, it just means you have evidence to the contrary, but it doesn't mean that there's not other evidence available for you. The Akashic Records teaches us that we live in a world of infinite possibility and potential. So at any moment, you can anchor into a new reality, a new experience, a new timeline, new evidence for your life. This new moon is a beautiful opportunity to do that. So one of my Black Friday specials, I'm going to link it below, is an invitation to spend an entire year with me in my Divine Creators Inner Circle. And this week, we are doing a new moon ceremony as well as welcoming in this energy of Pluto and Aquarius. And we're going to be doing really powerful Akashic journeys to upgrade our programming. So it's in alignment with our power, it's in alignment with prosperity. And we're really going to explore this new version of you who is emerging. So is she confident? Does she share her work with the world, her healing abilities with the world? Really anchoring in, not just understanding who she is from the mind, but like from the heart, really being one with her. So check out that link. All my Black Friday sales out there, I'll link them below. I want to share that before I forget. I know so many of you have already jumped in and experiencing incredible transformation, whether you got the feature, which is all about growing your healing business, all the steps to create your multiple six-figure queendom, or you jumped in on more of the energy related related offers to increase your magnetism and vitality. So they're all linked below if you are called to explore that. So the ruler, going back to our chart here, the ruler of this new moon is Jupiter. So we currently have Jupiter moving through Gemini. So you can see why Jupiter ruling Sagittarius, this is a big energy. Jupiter's energy is expansive. It's very optimistic. It's the energy of abundance and expansion. So Jupiter is currently moving through Gemini here, and I would say this is about intentionality around the conversations you are having, the information that you are consuming, being intentional about that. What do you allow into your world? What do you allow to take space in your mind? Is it working for you? When I say is it working, like is it in alignment with the vision you hold for how you want to feel as you move throughout your day, the experiences you want to have? It's a beautiful opportunity to create something new. This is a social energy as well, very social here. This entire chart is really about connecting with others, uplifting one another, having conversations that are nourishing. Again, there could be some combative energy here, but it's okay if we disagree with people. It's all about how we disagree. And Jupiter in Gemini is about keeping that open mind, not being closed off. The shadow side of Sagittarius is I'm set in what I know to be true. Jupiter in Gemini is I'm open. I'm open to dialogue. I'm open to conversation. It doesn't mean we have to agree with people. We may still decide that no, that is not my truth. I don't see the world that way. That doesn't feel useful. But can we be open to healthy dialogue? This encourages us to do that and be aware of when it can become unhelpful, when it becomes combative. And again, usually that's like based on miscommunication or a misunderstanding. We also have Jupiter opposing Mercury here. So this can really expand us, expand our mind, expand our vision. Where are you playing small? Not like what someone else may come into your business or life and say, you got to play a bigger game. What do you feel? What do you know to be true in your heart? Where are you undervaluing your gifts? Only we know if we're playing full out and showing up fully. And I don't mean this in like an exhausting way. Like, this is about being all of us. This is about operating in our authentic truth. This is about claiming what we really desire for our life, defining success on our terms, no one else's. So that's a powerful opposition here. Our mind can be expanded if we allow it to. So the moon is forming a beautiful aspect as well with Mars in the sign of Leo. Mars is really going to be taking the spotlight for the remainder of the year and into next because it's going to retrograde soon and move back into Cancer. So when Mars retrogrades, we really become aware of our energy leaks, where we are doing things that drain us, where we are trying to rely on our will and our strength alone, instead of allowing a greater force to move us, instead of being in that energy of flow, instead of allowing something else to pull us forward. Right now, though, at the time of this new moon, it is traveling through Leo, where it's quite strong. Mars in Leo is very creative. It's very playful. It's very much about self-expression, how we are expressing ourselves. So we've got these two fire signs flowing in harmony. This is a good time to look at what you are passionate about. And that's not something we can just force. It's something we feel into. If we've lost that passion and we're stuck in boredom, it's likely not going to change overnight, but we can gradually lean into what sparks my interest right now. What leads to my body expanding instead of contracting? What conversations feel nourishing? Who do I spend time with where it just feels like our energies contribute to one another in the most beautiful ways and we have fun together? Leaning into that passion and joy that is it's available to us at any time. And I think this new moon is really a reminder of that and an invitation to find that. I'll often tell my clients that we get to grow our business through the energy of joy because I work with a lot of light workers and spiritual entrepreneurs and really harnessing their gifts and working with their unique soul blueprint to create growth in their business. And you get to do that from the space of pleasure, from the space of joy. And doesn't mean there's no longer an obstacle or a struggle or an invitation to expand and grow. Of course, there will be, but when you're operating from your blueprint, there's this energy of flow. So, how can you invite in more joy, more pleasure, more playfulness into your daily life? How can you patch up those energy leaks? Sometimes that's where we have to begin. We have to be aware of like what's draining me in my life. And sometimes we have to just cut it out. Other times, if we feel like we can't just like release that person or that activity, we change our mindset around it. We change the lens in which we approach it through. We explore a new way of seeing it. And that can often bring about incredible shifts as well. It's so interesting. Even in our relationships, we have these ideas about who people are and how they show up, and then they tend to mirror that back to us, right? We tend to want to prove ourselves right. So we see evidence and examples of, see, I knew they were like that. And then when we change the way we view that person, it's really interesting, but they start showing up differently. We start to see a different side of them just by the story we've told ourselves. So that's a big message with this new moon as well. What narrative is running your life? What stories are you telling yourself about what is possible for you? The last aspect I want to hone in on here is a square between the new moon in Sagittarius and Saturn in Pisces. I personally love Piscean energy with Sagittarius. I know technically like they're not compatible energies, but I see both of these signs as these incredible dreamers, and they are both mutable energies. So there's this like flow that comes in, going with the flow of life instead of like bucking the current, instead of adding resistance. It's also about opening up to new possibilities from our heart. We don't have to know all the answers through our logical mind, but we can open our heart to receive new possibilities. So this is a square formation here, which traditionally in astrology, square formations mean a point of tension, but square formations can actually activate the greatest expansion and growth. So this moon square Saturn can make us aware of where we may need some more devotion or structure in our life in order to bring those dreams to fruition. I know I've talked about this before, but for many of my clients, they resonate more with this idea of devotion versus discipline. Like when we're devoted to feeling good in our body, it becomes natural to move, to exercise, to go for nature walks, to choose foods that work for us. When we're devoted to sharing our gifts with this planet, our unique soul gifts, we show up and we create content because we're devoted to our work and the power it holds to transform. So when we're devoted to something, we don't push as hard because it pulls us forward. Pulls us forward. So that is our new moon in Sagittarius, some insight around Pluto moving into Aquarius. I'll make some suggestions at the end if you want to check out some Akashic journeys, opening up your Akashic records. Beautiful time for that around this new moon. I'll also share some links below, my Black Friday specials, all different price points for you if you really want to master conscious creation, if you're focused on elevating your healing business, reaching more people, calling in more financial prosperity. I have the perfect Black Friday feature for you. So that's all listed below. Sending you so much love and light. Happy Sagittarius new moon. Bye for now.